welcomes you inside the Trans World Dome for the 2-1 Washington Redskins and the 1-1 St. Louis Rams. Good afternoon, everybody. Kenny Albert along with Tim Green. Redskins have won 2 in a row. They were very impressive in last week's 31-10 rout of the New York Giants. And Tim, Coach Norv Turner, thrilled about all facets of the Redskins game, especially the offense.
And he's happy with his quarterback. And all you have to do is be around Gus Frerotte for about 5 minutes to know why they love him in Washington. Now, he's played solid, mistake-free football. That's what Norv Turner wants. But he's had the luxury of an outstanding run game. Terry Allen right now running the football better than anyone else in the National Football League. The Rams defense knows this. They're determined to stop him, even if it takes 8 guys up on the line of scrimmage and a body in every hole.
And the Rams, like the Redskins during training camp, involved in a quarterback controversy this past week. But it will be Steve Walsh. His elbow is bothering him over the last couple of weeks, but Walsh says everything is okay.
But the Rams don't want to rely on Steve Walsh in his arm. They're focused in on the run game. Their young offensive line really has struggled, and Lawrence Phillips has not broken out yet. But even the Redskins defense concedes that this is a guy with talent who could break out at any time. They just hope it won't be today.
And we'll have the opening kickoff for you when we return. The Rams and the Redskins from St. Louis when Fox NFL Sunday continues.
Right.
For the Rams and the Redskins, Norv Turner in his 3rd season in Washington. On the opposite sideline, Rick Brooks, former head coach of the University of Oregon, his 2nd year in St. Louis. Brian Mitchell, the leading kick returner in the National Football League, and if there's any opponent who knows a thing or two about Brian Mitchell, it's the Rams place kicker, Chip Lohmiller, who spent 7 seasons in Washington. The Rams off last week, lost to the 49ers 2 weeks ago. Redskins have won 2 straight. Mitchell has trouble with it and then takes off from the 7. Out across the 25-yard line, so the Redskins will take over following the 20-yard kick return. Flags on the kickoff. Our referee this afternoon is Jerry Austin.
Offside on the kickoff by the kicking team, number 87. 5 yards and re-kick.
So Chip Lohmiller will do it again.
That's the last thing you want to do is re-kick against Brian Mitchell because he's the best. So anytime you put the ball up in the air and a kick with him, you're taking a chance that he could take that thing back all the way for a touchdown. And the Rams actually were lucky on the kickoff except for that penalty because Chip Lohmiller kicked pretty much a line drive to Mitchell. And if Mitchell didn't bumble that ball, he would have been even further up the field than he was. So Lohmiller is going to have to try to get more air underneath this ball, and then the whole rest of the guys are going to have to stay onside.
Wide receiver J.T. Thomas guilty on the kickoff. The offsides call. So once again, Brian Mitchell back deep. The NFL's leader the last 2 seasons in all-purpose yardage. Here we go, Tim. Take 2. Lohmiller this time from the 25-yard line. Mitchell will play it once again from the 7. And he is taken down at the 28. So the Redskins gain 1 yard on the re-kick.
Yeah, that's because Lohmiller got nice air under that ball.
So Gus Frerotte will lead the Redskins out. He's thrown only 1 touchdown. That was on a fake field goal, but only 1 interception as well. Joe Patton with Trey Johnson, Raymer, Dahl, and Ed Simmons, the right tackle. Terry Allen, the NFL's leading rusher, with Mark Logan, Leslie Shepard for the injured Michael Westbrook, along with former Ram Henry Ellard, and the tight end is Jamie Asher. Frerotte will go to the air on 1st down. The pass is complete to Terry Allen, and he is out across the 38-yard line for a Redskins 1st down. Gain of 11 for Allen. here is the Rams front four. Leslie O'Neal, the longtime Charger, with Jones, DeMarco Farr, and Kevin Carter. Pfeiffer, Robert Jones, Carlos Jenkins. The linebackers, Parker and Light. The quarterbacks, Keith Lyle, who made the first down tackle, and Toby Wright, hard-hitting St. Louis Rams safety. Terry Allen, 146 yards last week against the New York Giants. Gains 2 on first down.
The Rams, as we said, want to stop Terry Allen. That's their number one priority. So what they do is they've got 7 guys up here. They bring their safety in late. You're going to see Keith Lyle come in late. So they're going to have 8 guys across the front. When they there he is right there. He's the 8th guy, so he fills that back hole. That enables the linebackers to fill their holes immediately. All the linebackers know exactly where they have to go. They don't have to worry about playing both sides of the ball.
On 2nd and 8, the delay goes to Allen. He works his way out to the 43-yard line. Gain of 2, so it will be 3rd and long for the Redskins.
North Turner told us yesterday that he was going to be patient with his run game because they don't want to put Gus Frerotte in a situation where they're relying on him heavily. So even though it's 3rd down and you expect it to be a passing situation, this is a time, 3rd down and long, where you're going to see the Redskins today run the ball some, even though you wouldn't expect it.
2 tight ends for the Redskins. The lone back is Allen. Frerotte on 3rd and 6, off the fingertips of Leslie Shepard.
Well, it was off Leslie Shepard's fingertips, but Gus Frerotte is known for throwing a high hard ball. And Willie Shaw, the Rams defensive coordinator, said to us yesterday, the thing that Frerotte will do is on those underneath routes, he still puts too much heat on the ball. So if he throws the ball behind his receivers, a lot of times they'll get their hands up and that ball just gets tipped. The Rams think they're going to get some interceptions off of those high hard balls today.
Matt Turk will punt for the first time back deep. The rookie out of LSU, Eddie Kennison, who's returned only 1 punt this year, but it went for 40 yards. Kennison back inside his 5, and he is taken down by Scott Turner.
That's an outstanding special teams play by Scott Turner. He had 2 guys on him all the way down the field. He was the gunner. That gun went off. Not a bad place to spend the weekend. St. Louis.
Although we are indoors, the Trans World Dome, and the Rams start out from their own 4-yard line. Lawrence Phillips, the first-round draft pick out of Nebraska, finds a hole on the right side, good for 3 yards. So Steve Walsh, with his 4th NFL club, spent last year on the bench in Chicago, has not thrown a touchdown pass over the first 2 games. The men protecting Walsh, Gandy, Rostek, Ruta Doria, White, and Zach Wiegert. 3 rookies among the backs and receivers, Phillips, Harris, and Eddie Kennison, with Isaac Bruce coming off a terrific 1995, and the tight end Troy Creighton. On 2nd down, it's Phillips again, and he is met in the backfield by the combination of Rich Owens, the former Ram, and Sterling Palmer.
And this is what the Rams have struggled with offensively. They started out with a nice run game. That is all gone now from Rich Owens.
Rich Owens joined on the front 4 by ex-Ram, as I mentioned, Sean Gilbert, Mark Boutte, and Sterling Palmer. The linebacking core, Marcus Patton with Rod Stevens and Pro Bowler Ken Harvey. Veteran Darrell Green with Tom Carter, the cornerback, Stanley Richard, and Darrell Morrison, the Redskins safety. 3rd down and 11. And the Rams keep it on the ground with Harold Green out across the 10 to the 12, but not enough for the first down.
I talked about the Redskins running some on 3rd and long, and now we see the Rams are doing the same thing. Both teams today, both coaches, Rich Brooks for the Rams, North Turner for the Redskins, want to run the football.
3 and out for the Rams. Brian Mitchell back deep on his own 45-yard line. Sean Landetta will do the punching from the end zone. The Rams had trouble with the snaps last week. This one is perfect, as Landetta booms it all the way back to the 35. Mitchell to the outside. Out near midfield. Roman Pfeiffer knocks him out. 53-yard punt by Landeta. 13-yard return for Mitchell. Good field position upcoming for the Redskins. Fourth consecutive season these teams have met. Redskins winning last year here at the Trans World Dome, 35-23. And the Skins start out from their own 49-yard line. Play action. Frerotte swings it out. The intended receiver, Jamie Asher, but the pressure from Kevin Carter and Carlos Jenkins.
When you talk about this Redskins team, a lot of people are talking about the talent pool that they have. And if you look at what they've done over the draft in the past few years in the 90s, they really haven't done that well. They've had some things work out, but for the most part, they haven't been that successful. Most of their success really has come with veteran free agent acquisitions from other teams.
Including Terry Allen, who takes the handoff from Frerotte, scampers around the right tackle and has the first down and more. Down to the 40, a gain of 12. He was forced out of bounds by Toby Wright.
That's, again, nice run by Terry Allen. Here's what I'm talking about with the first rounders. You look at Bobby Wilson, 91, out of the league. Desmond Howard, Green Bay, still a question mark. Carter's a starter. Schuler's a backup. Westbrook's injured, and he's suspect anyway. And then Andre Johnson is inactive. He's not even playing today. Then you look at the wheeling and dealing they've done out in the free agent market, and Casserly has done a much better job going out, picking up other people's talent, making good deals for good players.
Frerotte fires it over the middle to tight end Jamie Asher. Another Redskins first down inside the 20. 20-yard gain. Right now, McDonald's Game Break. James Brown, our Fox Television Center.
Kenny and Tim. Steve Berline directed a crisp Carolina 9-play, 80-yard drive. Capped it with this pity strike to Wesley Walsh. Yes, the Panthers, unafraid of the 49ers, on top. 7-0 in the first. Back to St. Louis. Kenny Albert and Tim Green.
Remember in the Rams last game 2 weeks ago, they were shut out by the 49ers. But the Carolina Panthers strike first. On first down, Terry Allen up the middle once again before he was wrapped up by Toby Wright, a gain of 4 yards. So the Redskins moving the ball downfield now at the Rams' 15-yard line.
What the Redskins will do to you on their offensive line is if you shoot a gap, as DeMarco Farr does here, watch what Bob Dahl does to him. If you shoot the gap on the Redskins line, look at that. Dahl just turns that big body sideways, and look at the size of that hole. Mark Logan makes a nice lead block, but if you shoot the gaps on these guys, they've been practicing all week to take your body and turn it sideways.
Frerotte taken down, DeMarco Farr, but flags were thrown, so movement on the line.
Yeah, DeMarco Farr offsides. He's jumping the gun on that, and this time he jumps it so fast, he's so determined to beat Bob Dahl that he went before the snap count. He's frustrated because, hey, he's a quick guy. He's known for his quickness. And Dahl just negated his quickness on that last play.
DeMarco Farr, very frustrated.
Number 75 of the defense. 5 yards. Repeat second down.
Farr frustrated following the loss to the 49ers and the bye week. He said he spent the week tackling his dog, pretending the dog was Steve Young.
Yeah, well, take a look here. He needs to go back and tackle his dog a little more. Way offsides. I mean, he makes a nice play, but it's too late. I mean, it's too soon. And now the Redskins are in a great situation. Second and short. Every offensive coordinator's dream.
The fullback, Mark Logan, finds the hole down inside the 10. Looks to have the first down.
Well, Mark Logan is a nice change-up to Terry Allen. And it's really a credit to Mark Logan that they'll even give him the football, because when you've got a guy like Terry Allen, he is running so hard and so well that just the fact that they're going to include Logan even in a short yardage play says a lot about the guy. And he does it a lot with just toughness and tenacity.
First and goal on the 8. Terry Allen. I should say Frerotte rolling right, and it's broken up. What a fake. He faked us out here in the booth. Frerotte on the play action rolling right, and there is Toby Wright who broke the pass play up.
Well, yeah, he faked out everybody in the stadium, you, me, everybody at home, but he doesn't fake out Toby Wright and Carlos Jenkins. Watch these two guys. They read this, and watch their vision. Look at this. You see them looking right there? They're looking right there. They come back and make this play. Look at that coverage. That's really outstanding coverage, and it all came from Toby Wright's mind. Not from his body, from his mind.
Now second and goal for the Redskins. Frerotte hands it off this time to Brian Mitchell down to the 2. Leslie O'Neal finally brought him down after the 6-yard pickup.
And that's a little bit about what we were talking about, how you get into a passing situation and then you run the ball. And that's a good thing. It takes the pressure off of Gus Frerotte. You don't want to put Gus Frerotte in a situation where everyone knows he's going to pass and he's going to sit back in the pocket and have to make these throws, especially in the red zone. North Turner loves the way Frerotte is developing, his confidence, and the confidence of the teammates around him, and that is something that you want to protect.
Two Redskin tight end. Third and goal. Frerotte, another fake to the end zone.
Oh, what a catch. What a nice catch.
Scott Galbraith, the former Cowboy, and the Redskins strike first.
Now, you got to like that kind of catch. The one-handed, pull it in, that's just a wonderful thing to see from a tight end who you think is out there to be a blocker. Here's Galbraith right here. Watch him. He gets in, fakes the block, and comes out, but it's the catch that you got to really love. Look at that. One hand, pulls it in, the concentration to pull that ball down. Now, he makes Gus Frerotte look like a hero because Ferrotte's now got a touchdown pass after making a bad throw.
Scott Blanton for the point after. Both of Gus Ferrotte's touchdown passes this season have gone to Galbraith, the fake field goal last week. And now, here's this afternoon against the Rams. On the Redskins sideline, Scott Galbraith, 2-yard touchdown reception from Gus Frerotte. The 8-play, 51-yard drive. And the Redskins lead 7-0. Eddie Kennison, a rookie from LSU, back deep along with fellow rookie Lawrence Phillips. Scott Blanton from the 30. Short kick, Kennison from the 12. Out across the 25. Somebody lost their helmet, and Kennison is finally tackled at the 30-yard line. 19-yard return.
Let's take a look at this touchdown. And what the Redskins did is they used some intelligence on this play. You're going to see Galbraith come out into the flat. It's a bootleg play. Now watch Frerotte. He spins out. Remember the last time they ran the bootleg? This guy right here, Toby Wright, covered it. Well, he covers the deep route, but Carlos Jenkins doesn't get good enough coverage on the underneath route. So what Galbraith did is he went back to the sideline on the first bootleg and said, hey, I can get open underneath. Let's run it again.
That is exactly what he did. Rams 3 and out on their first possession. The pitchback goes to Phillips. And a pickup of 3 yards for the 6th overall pick in this past April's draft. Tim, this week on Fox Saturday Baseball, Ken Caminiti and the San Diego Padres battle Mike Piazza and the Dodgers, plus other key pennant race matchups. It all begins at 12:30 Eastern, 11:30 Central, or 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. So check local listing.
Yeah, this is when those guys out on the baseball field, they start to heat it up and really play with the intensity that you normally expect on a football field.
And here in St. Louis, Cardinals in the midst of a pennant race as well. Troy Creighton in motion. Phillips, the workhorse in his first quarter for the Rams. Stumbles up to the 40, still on his feet, finally brought down, but a good effort by Phillips. Gain of 11 on the play.
Yeah, and some nice blocking for Lawrence Phillips up front. You're going to see Dwayne White. I mean, look at the size of this guy, and watch how he gets that stuff moving and coming around. Look at that. Look at that, 67 right there. He's coming around. Look at the block he puts on the guy. Bam, knocks one guy down, and then Phillips outruns him. And then look at that agility, man. He got up over his own guy. So not only is Dwayne White getting out there, pulling around, getting that stuff moving, knocking people down, he's a hurdler, too.
That was Phillips' longest carry over the first 3 games. And here there it is once again. Phillips, who has moved deeper in the backfield. Morris Phillips felt that over the first 2 weeks he was too close to the line, and reading the blocks was a bit tough.
He was a little too deep on that play there because he was so deep. He didn't hit the hole fast enough. And that's one thing that Lawrence Phillips has got to do, and he's got to understand that in this league, you're not going to see holes like you saw in Nebraska when you're playing, corn-fed Tech. You're going to see a little hole. It opens and closes very quickly. You got to hit it fast.
Flash thrown, movement on the line as the Rams set up for 2nd down and 8.
I think Dwayne White is so doggone excited from the fact that they've been pulling him out and around that he just forgot about the snap count. This is going to be the first time. That was going to be one of the first times that they were going to let Dwayne White just fire out off the ball and not try to knock somebody else. That's what he is. He's the road grader. That's why they brought him here from the Jets. Not to pass block, not even really to pull, but just to line up in 3-point stance, hunker down, and get that stuff moving forward and knock some people out of the way. Grade the road. Level it.
First 6 Rams offensive plays have been runs. Walsh to the air for the first time, dumps it off to Phillips, and he will lose yardage.
That's a Cadre veteran, Darrell Green.
Along with Marv Fitzpatrick right now for this game break, James Brown in Hollywood.
All right, Kenny and Tim, the Packers capitalized on a Eugene Robinson pick when Brett Favre throws his 11th touchdown of the season. This one to Robert Brooks, an 11-yard strike. Packers on top 7-0 in the first. Back to St. Louis. Kenny Albert, Tim Green.
Can I tell you how big time James Brown has become? Last week, I get a call. The Bob Costas show. Who's doing it? JB. He's filling in for Costas now.
Should it be the James Brown show?
Well, soon Costas will be filling in for JB. That's what's next.
Some confusion as the Rams lose more yardage.
There's no confusion on that one, buddy. That was all Sean Gilbert. There's nothing to be confused. I mean, he just blew through that line with great quickness. And the thing is, he's a big man. So you don't expect him to move like DeMarco Farr for the Rams. But watch it here. Look at the jump he gets. You know what happened on that? He knew the snap count. He knew the snap count. Did you see that jump? If we get a chance, we'll take a look at it again. He jumped the same instant the center snapped the ball.
We talked about that with Gilbert last night as Landetta boots it away.
You got to be careful. You got to change up your signals when you play a guy from another team. There's 5 traders all across the NFL.
And Gilbert played for the last 4 years with the Rams. As you said, he knew the count.
Nike presents Confessions of a Cheerleader.
Right here, but let me tell you, he just hates the Canaries. He's trying not to smile, but he blew through that last play of the Rams offense. Look at that. Nobody moves except Sean Gilbert and the center snapping the ball. He heard the audible at the line, he deciphered it, and he made the play in the backfield.
Now for the Redskins, first down from their own 15-yard line. Here's Terry Allen, and he is bottled up at the line of scrimmage by a trio of Rams, so no gain on the play. And the noise, Tim, we heard the roar of the crowd just prior to the snap. The noise here in the Trans World Dome has been a problem for opponents over these last 2 seasons.
And it's going to be a big factor in this game, especially on 3rd down, because that's when everybody figures it's going to be a pass, and that's when the offensive linemen need to hear the quarterback signal so that they can get back and pass protect.
2nd down and 10. Henry Ellard in motion. On the play fake, Frerotte, and a nice catch is made. It's Galbraith again who scored the Redskins touchdown earlier, a diving catch out near the 30.
That's what Gus Frerotte does best. He sits in the pocket with pressure. You're going to see the heat. I mean, Jimmy Jones, 98 for the Rams, is going to be all over Gus Frerotte. But he stands back in the pocket, and he lets the pressure come. Look at that. He comes, he knows the guy's there, but he throws that deep pass pattern very, very well. He has problems. A little too much heat on the short ball. Not a great long, arcing, rainbow bomb pass, but the deep precision patterns he throws very well.
On first down, Terry Allen tripped up in the backfield by DeMarco Farr, a loss of a yard.
DeMarco Farr figured he wasn't going to get it against Bob Dahl, so what he did is he moved himself over, or I'm sure the coaches moved him over to work on Trey Johnson. So he put a little bit of that quickness on Trey Johnson, and it worked that time.
DeMarco Farr with 11.5 sacks last year. Came in as an undrafted free agent 3 seasons ago. Second down at 11. Redskins using 3 wide receivers. Frerotte on the pump fake. Now airs it out, and he overthrows Shepard.
See, that's not his ball. That deep arcing ball is not his ball. It's the tight, deep pass.
Tim, next week it's a Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader when the Carolina Panthers battle the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Atlanta Falcons take on the San Francisco 49ers, plus other exciting regional action. It all begins at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. So check local listings for the game and time in your area right here on Fox.
And who would have thought that Carolina-Jacksonville would be a big game? But it is a big game because everybody around the world of football is fascinated with what those two teams have done.
Tight end Asher in motion. 3 receivers and a shovel pass goes to Brian Mitchell. He scored a touchdown against the Rams 2 years ago on a shovel pass, and this time it's good for 7 yards.
And there's the run, Kenny, on 3rd down that we talked about. A known passing situation, but not a situation where they're going to have Gus Frerotte drop back in the pocket and take the pressure. It sets up and it starts to look like that, but they pull Big Bob Dahl, lead him out in front, and the nice luxury that you have with Brian Mitchell is he's the 3rd down back, excellent hands, but he can be dangerous when he starts running that football.
Matt Turp was cut by the Rams 2 years ago. Tennyson is single safety. Tennyson back at his own 11. He's met first by Darrell Morrison. Stays on his feet, but the play is blown dead. 51-yard punt by Turk and a 5-yard return by Tennyson.
And North Turner just loves the way this game is going. His offense didn't go down and strike again and score again, but they held on to the ball. They rested their defense. Special teams was strong again, pinning the Rams back down in there. And hey, they're up 7 points. If North Turner can win this game 7-0 or 7-3 or 7-6, he's going to be perfectly happy.
Redskins have allowed only 1 touchdown now over the last 11 quarters. First down for Walsh and the Rams. The handoff goes to Lawrence. Phillips finds a hole out across the 25-yard line on the final play of the first quarter. An 8-yard gain for Phillips.
Yeah, he hit the hole that time, Kenny. No hesitation. Phillips hit the hole. It wasn't big. It wasn't there long, but he got it and picked up the first down.
1 quarter complete from St. Louis with Lawrence Phillips and the Rams trailing the Redskins by a touchdown.
That's always the danger. The Vikings, as long as you've got Warren Moon and Jake Reed, Warren Moon and Chris Carter, they can always throw that long ball and get back in the game.
Play action, Walsh, and he overthrows the intended receiver, Isaac Bruce, who has seemed a bit frustrated over these first couple of weeks. 119 receptions a year ago, but only 8 so far in 2 games, and that was the first pass Bruce's way here this afternoon.
Well, Isaac Bruce is frustrated because he does an outstanding job of getting himself open on this play. Watch him. He comes up and in, and he separates himself from the coverage. Look at that. He's open as you could be, and then Walsh does not deliver the ball to him. That's what's happened in the first couple of games. So Isaac Bruce really is a frustrated guy.
3 wide receivers. Harold Green has replaced Lawrence Phillips in the backfield, and movement on the line. Perhaps Gilbert read the count once again.
Yeah, they've got to change it up. They've got to change up their snap count and their signals on the line of scrimmage.
Before the ball was snapped, false start. Number 80, 5 yards. It's still 2nd down.
Well, that was Isaac Bruce.
Yeah, that's kind of unusual. But as we said, he's a frustrated guy. He's looking up at the telescreen, the big screen there, to see if it really was him that went offsides or not. There's Bruce. Yep, he's offside right up at the top.
4th Rams penalty of the game. Walsh over the middle, in and out of the hands of Harold Green.
Harold Green is a guy they normally count on with the pass. He's in there as a runner because he can catch the ball. That's the problem with Lawrence Phillips. Now, Phillips, again, he's starting to come out and emerge as a runner, but he's not a guy who has very good hands. So when the Rams want to throw to their running back, Harold Green is the guy they want to throw it to.
Yes, over the first 2 games, Phillips did not catch a pass, while Green was the recipient of 6.
Yeah, well, Phillips says his hands are so bad they don't even want to put the ball, put it up to him.
3rd down and 15. Deep drop by Walsh, under pressure, and it's picked off by Marcus Patton. His 2nd interception the last 2 weeks.
Boy, Walsh is down. I mean, he took a shot from Ken Harvey. Harvey got on him, and really Harvey makes this play because you don't always have to hit the ball to affect the quarterback's throw. Watch Harvey. He comes from the outside. He races around Gandy, slaps those hands down, and look at this. See, I don't know if he tipped that ball or not, but either way, he affected the quarterback's throw by putting heat up the back of his neck.
First and 10 for the Redskins on the Rams 34 as Terry Allen takes the handoff following the turnover, the interception by Marcus Patton.
Yeah, Patton got the interception, but as we said, Ken Harvey is the guy who causes it. Now watch him race around Gandy. He's using his hands, Ken Harvey. He slaps Gandy's hands down, and now watch him use his hands here. Look at that, right there. I mean, he is the guy who gets that ball, and then watch what happens to Steve Walsh's leg there. That's why he stayed down. That thing got a little crumpled under there, but great use of hands by Ken Harvey. Hands on the blocker, and then hands to touch that football, knock it off so Patton could pick it off.
Flags on 2nd and 9. As the handoff goes to Allen once again.
These guys are doing some battling down there. You know, whenever you see these guys locked up after the play, you know that there's a little feud going on. There's some bad blood.
Offside on the defense. 5 yards. Repeat 2nd down.
It's probably DeMarco Farr again. It wouldn't surprise me because he's down in there and he's always trying to jump the gun. So if it comes from him, there it is. No, it's Jimmy Jones this time. Or Kevin Carter. So those guys are up there. They're trying to jump the gun. Now, it's a fast upfield defense. That's what Willie Shaw wants them to do. He wants them to each get into a gap and hit it. And you look there at those penalties. St. Louis is killing them, so they're shooting themselves in the foot.
Now 2nd down and 4 with Shepard in motion. Here's Allen. Nice cut inside. Robert Jones on the stop.
Well, Terry Allen's having a great year, and he's running really hard. But whenever there's a guy who's having a great year, there's other guys around him. Watch the block Mark Logan puts on it. We talked about his toughness and his tenacity before. Look at him lead up into this hole and put the block on Roman Pfeiffer. Look at that. Look at that hole there that he gives Terry Allen. Now, it's not a huge play, but it's a 1st down play. And a lot of it is because Logan is just a tough guy.
On 1st down, here's Allen. And once again, there was some concern about fatigue. Allen carried the ball 27 times. Last week, he's averaged 23 carries per game, but Terry, once again, off to a terrific start. He's actually run the ball better in the 2nd half over the first 3 weeks than the 1st half.
Now, what a tough and determined guy. When we spoke to him yesterday, I talked to him about those 2 knee surgeries and how he had subsequent 1,000-yard games, 1,000-yard seasons after having his knees reconstructed. And he said, look, the surgery took away my speed, but it didn't take away my determination. And that's what he runs. He runs on determination.
Frerotte to the air, over the middle, down to the 15. The ball is loose, and it looks as if the Redskins have recovered. Jamie Asher, the tight end, falls on it. Right now for a game break. Let's return to James Brown at our Fox Television Center.
Kenny and Tim, what has happened to Steve Berline? 12 of 13, 2 touchdowns, both of them to that guy, Wesley Walsh, the tight end, ex-Saints guy. 17-0, no fear Panthers over the 49ers. Kenny and Tim.
Sometimes you take an old vet like that, and then you give him a shot, and he does everything and anything he can to take advantage of it, and that's what Berline's doing.
Once again, players on both sides jumped too early. On 3rd and short, it was 3rd and 1, and the Redskins will be pushed back.
It's still 3rd down.
First Redskins penalty.
Yeah, and this is where the noise comes in. You talked about it earlier, and the dome noise is always the loudest you can get.
Oh, it killed the Bengals here in week 1.
Yeah, and that noise is what just got the penalty for the Rams against the Redskins, because those offensive linemen can't hear the snap count, so they start to guess. And those Rams defensive linemen are down there twitching and jumping and ready to go.
Here's Brian Mitchell up the middle, short of the first down. Cincinnati offensive lineman week 1, Tim, called for 6 penalties in the Bengals-Rams game, and St. Louis subsequently won the game 26-16.
Yeah, you don't even have to have tremendous noise in the stands, because what happens is the noise here in the stands is different than the noise down on the field, because it bounces up off of the ceiling and then it's focused. It's like a laser beam focusing down with that noise down on the field.
33-yard field goal attempt for Scott Blanton, with Frerotte holding. Blanton 2 of 4 on the season, and more flags.
Well, flags or no, I'm sure that the Rams defenders are saying, okay, I got him, I got him. They're not going to get beat by a fake field goal as the Giants did last week. Rich Brooks is too tricky himself to allow that.
False start, number 77, 5 yards. It's still 4th down.
Trey Johnson. Hey, we talked about Dwayne White and how big he is. Look at Trey Johnson. You know, the difference between a guy who's 350, as you can see, he's 350, who's 6'4", and a guy who's 350, who's 6'2", is you got to buy 2 bus tickets instead of 1. And this is a guy, Trey Johnson, 350, but he's only 6'2", so you never get away with single bus tickets.
Scott Blanton needs only 1 bus ticket. Now from 38. Has the distance and the 3 points. So Scott Blanton hits from 38 yards out. The Redskins' lead over the Rams is now 10. Up to a 10-0 lead over the Rams. Redskins 2-1. Following victories over the Bears and the Giants. 6-play drive, culminating in the 38-yard Blanton field goal.
Yeah, that was a bit of a freebie coming off of the interception of Steve Walsh's pass.
Now Blanton picks it off to Lawrence Phillips from the 5. Center set to cross the 20. Flag on the play. Phillips out to the 22 after the 17-yard return.
Yeah, that's going to be against the Rams, and again, give them terrible field position for their offense.
During the run back, illegal block from behind. Number 22, half a distance to the goal. 1st down.
Mike Skurlock.
Yeah, and that one was an easy one to see, because it was right in the middle of the field, and the guy who he blocked just went skidding down the turf.
6th St. Louis Rams penalty over the first 20 minutes. Not exactly what Rich Brooks had in mind.
That's what you get when you have a young team.
Coaches, team, media.
With this penalty, now the thing is, he's blocking Darryl Pounds, and he's got a hold of the back of his shirt. But watch how far Pounds slides. Look at that. He starts there and he goes all the way to there. Whenever you slide like that, it looked like he was in a water park or something. You're always going to get the flag.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, but it doesn't on that turf.
Phillips out to the 20. Darrell Morrison made the tackle. So an impressive first half so far for the rookie out of Nebraska, Lawrence Phillips. Now, our Aflac trivia question. Which Redskin Hall of Famer won the 1956 NFL Rookie of the Year award?
It's a trick question, I'll tell you that much.
You know the answer.
Well, I know that no Redskin rookie won it in 1956. However, a Redskin Hall of Famer won it in 1956.
In other words, you're saying that this person, as Lawrence Phillips scampers up to the 23, you're saying that this person who might even be in the building today played for the Redskins later in his career.
Here we go. That's exactly what I'm saying.
So which Redskin Hall of Famer was the 1956 NFL Rookie of the Year? And there it is, Sam Huff with the New York Giants, who would go on to play for the Redskins. And Sam, the color commentator. No, that's Sonny.
That's Sonny?
There's Sam, right there with the binoculars.
All right.
Phillips Sonny Jurgensen, of course, another former great Redskin, also in the radio booth with Sam Huff.
Well, the Redskins' offense has really taken a lot of pressure off this defense because they've capitalized on the turnover. They got the 7 points at the beginning. There's Sam Huff there. So now the defense is not in a situation where they have to worry that much. And they gave them a long field with their special teams. They give the Rams offense a long field. So the thing the defense doesn't want to do is relax too much because that's when you get gassed.
Now 3rd down and 3. 3 wide receivers. Walsh has completed only 1 pass today. And once again, movement on the line.
Yeah, I think they got Grudadaria on that one. Now, he's an interesting guy, Grudadaria. Rich Brooks said he was the most consistent Rams blocker all through training camp. And he was on the practice squad for the Cowboys. If you look at the back of his jersey there, it makes you think that maybe the equipment man in
prior to
Dallas
the snap,
was
false start.
instrumental in having
70, 5 yards. It's still 3rd down.
They called it on Wayne Gandy, but I think they read the numbers wrong. I think it was Grudadaria.
Maybe they couldn't read Grudadaria's name.
Yeah, that's exactly what we look at that name. And that's the longest name I've ever seen on the back of a jersey. He probably had to have a specially made jersey to get that thing on there.
The G's all the way next to the number.
Yeah.
On the left sleeve.
What you need is a back like Dwayne White.
Walsh in trouble, escapes momentarily, and then is taken down. Rich Owens with his 4th sack of this young season.
And that's the 2nd time we've seen the Redskins' Rich Owens in the backfield wreaking a little havoc. Earlier in the game, he did it on a run play. Now he's doing it on a pass play. But what you want to notice is the fact that the Redskins are only sending 4 guys on the pass rush. Gilbert gets a hand on him, and Owens just perseveres. He stays with him and comes up with this sack. But you know this, Steve Walsh had nobody open downfield. It took a long time for the Redskins defense to come up with that sack.
Mandetta looking for his 3rd punt of over 50 yards here today. Brian Mitchell, fair catch at the 44. This time, 39 yards from Landeta. And once again, the Redskins will start out in excellent field position when we return. Kenny Albert with Tim Green from the Trans World Dome in St. Louis, where the Washington Redskins lead the St. Louis Rams by the score of 10-0. And once again, the Redskins start out in terrific field position. The Redskins' average start today, their own 40-yard line. So North Turner has to be thrilled about that. And the Rams average in their own 15.
Yeah, a little bit of a smile creeping onto Norm's face.
1st and 10. Frerotte fakes the handoff to Allen, swings it out to the fullback, Mark Logan, down the sideline, inside the 35. On 1st down, 22-yard pickup from Frerotte to Logan.
That's the great thing when you have a runner like Terry Allen. You can use him as a decoy, and that's been the best thing that Terry Allen has done today. Look at this. He gets everybody going this way. Everybody's looking for Terry Allen. You sneak Mark Logan out. Again, a reliable guy, and they set this play up, this bootleg pass. Once again, this is a pass. This is a play that the Rams defense has got to rally together. They're going to see this thing on the chalkboard at halftime because Willie Shaw's going to say, we must stop this bootleg.
1st down for the Redskins. Here's Frerotte, 7 of 11 so far. And this time he is picked off. Frerotte throws only his 2nd interception of the season. It's Todd Light, the 6th-year Ram from Notre Dame, his first pickoff of 1996.
Todd Light makes an outstanding break on this ball because Henry Ellard is one of the most difficult guys to read as far as his pattern. Light reads it, and he pulls it down. The one thing you have to know, though, North Turner is not going to get upset because he said yesterday that, look, if we throw an interception, I want to make sure that our receiver makes the tackle. And you see right there, Henry Ellard made the tackle. He said, we'll exchange field position on these long passes, especially if we're ahead in the ball game. The Redskins are ahead 10-0.
North said it's almost like a punt.
Yeah. I mean, that wouldn't be a very good punt because they ended up on the 20. But
there's Walsh rolling right. Covered from Tom Carter, the intended receiver, Isaac Bruce. Rams wanted a flag, but nothing thrown.
But that's why Isaac Bruce is frustrated. The why is because Steve Walsh has a difficult time throwing this deep out cut. It's one of the hardest passes for a quarterback to throw. And if you don't throw it fast enough, yeah, look at Tom Carter's all over him. He had a hold of his hand. That's pass interference. Had a hold of his jersey. But if you don't throw it fast enough on a line, then you enable the defensive back to make the break up that pass. But that was pass interference. Bad call.
Walsh with only one completion for -6 yards. Lawrence Phillips, short gain. Under 6 minutes to go in this second quarter as we take a look at the Rams' first 4 possessions, 3 resulting in punts, the other a turnover.
Yeah, and look at this. I mean, they've been just flat pinned down by the special teams of the Washington Redskins. So a lot of times you don't see, it doesn't jump right out at you with special teams, but Rich Brooks' team is behind in this game because of bad special teams.
3rd down and 9. Isaac Bruce in motion. Walsh looking for that second completion, and nobody in the vicinity. 4 white jerseys, and Walsh hearing it from the crowd. Remember, he was cold in the last Rams game against the 49ers, but Rich Brooks said it is Steve Walsh's job. Well, Tim, they said he was too small and too slow to play college football, but he never stopped believing in himself. Sounds like the Tim Green story. Don't miss this inspiring true story about a young man who beat the odds and lived his dream of playing for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Rudy, tonight at 8, 7 Central.
I can tell you I was a small defensive lineman, but I wasn't as small as Rudy. But that's a great football movie and a great movie. Even if you don't like football, that's a movie you want to see.
Here's Brian Mitchell back at the 35, eludes the first attempted tackle by Scurlock, and then is pulled down. So once again, the Redskins will start from their own 40 after the 43-yard punt and the 5-yard return.
Yeah, so it turns out to be not such a bad field position exchange for the Redskins, even though Gus Frerotte threw an interception. You know, Kenny, we talked earlier about the draft in the Redskins and what Charlie Casserly has done in the draft, and he hasn't been that great. But look at the stuff that he's done just picking up guys from other teams. I mean, Terry Allen, Sean Gilbert, you see what he's doing today. Ken Harvey with the knock on that ball. Bob Dahl, you see him moving guys out. Patton, he's got an interception. So really, Charles Casserly has been outstanding in picking up other people's talent.
On first down, this is Allen, who is stopped by a trio of St. Louis Rams. No gain on the play. Remember, we spoke with defensive coordinator Willie Shaw yesterday, who was with the Vikings along with Terry Allen, and Willie Shaw told us the only defense he's seen stop Allen were the Vikings in practice.
Yeah, and he did it with penetration. So watch what Jimmy Jones does here. Watch the penetration he gets, and he knocks off Trey Johnson. You see that right there? He knocks off the backside pullers, and that creates confusion on this whole play. So Willie Shaw's Minnesota defense stopped Terry Allen with penetration on the front line.
On second down, movement once again. Busy afternoon for Jerry Austin's officiating crew.
Ball start. Number 76, 5 yards. It's still second down.
That's Ed Simmons. He is the senior resident hog of this offensive line. He's been around 12 years, and the other guys are younger guys coming along. And he's actually become more vocal in the past couple of years in trying to bring these guys along in the tradition of those big hogs in the late 80s. And I played against those hogs several times in the 80s, and I got to tell you, I mean, they were a big, bad bunch. And this bunch here is big, and they're starting to be bad. Bad in a good way.
Short drop by Frerotte. And it will now be third down and long. Well, those hogs you referred to, of course. And there is Jim Hannafin, the longtime assistant and head coach here in St. Louis with the St. Louis Cardinals, and he is the offensive line coach with the Redskins, one of the best in the business.
Yeah, he is, and he's called the Chief. And his players not only respect him and listen to him, they really love this guy. Great regard all around. Look what he did. St. Louis Cardinals, last Cardinals coach with a winning record. Redskins, he had a great line there, and he's coached 2 Hall of Famers and 6 Pro Bowlers in his career.
And now on 3rd and 15, Hannafin's current offensive line does a good job blocking for Frerotte, who finds Brian Mitchell on the far side. Knocked out of bounds by Anthony Parker. 12-yard gain, but not enough for a Redskins first down. It was 3rd and 15.
But I like what Norv Turner is asking Gus Frerotte to do. because he's asking him to complete these short passes. He's being very patient with Gus Frerotte. You have to understand, with all the stuff that went on between Heath Schuler and Gus Frerotte over the past year or so, Frerotte is a guy who really needs to be brought along and developed slowly. And that's exactly what Norv Turner is doing with the run game and with short, safe passes like the one he just threw.
Eddie Kennison back deep for the Rams as Kirk was under pressure, and it takes a Redskins bounce. The story of this game so far for the Rams has been terrible field position, and it continues here following the 44-yard punt by Turk.
Yeah, terrible field position and the inability to get out of it.
Coming up next, our Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader will continue as Deion Sanders and the Dallas Cowboys battle Bruce Smith, and the Buffalo Bills or the Chicago Bears take on the Detroit Lions. Don't miss these crucial NFL matchups coming up next right here on Fox.
Because despite the fact that Dallas is 1-2 and the Bills dropped that Monday night game in Pittsburgh, a lot of people still believe they may be the two teams we'll see in the Super Bowl. And it's possible. They're definitely two of the best in their respective conferences.
And the Bills without Jim Kelly. Todd Collins gets the start. Harold Green takes the pitch from Walsh. You know, this quarterback controversy here in St. Louis. Tony Banks came into the game 2 weeks ago, and Mark Rippon, the former Redskin hero, Super Bowl MVP, was the Rams quarterback last year, but could not come to terms with the club during the offseason. And the St. Louis Post-Dispatch ran a poll this week who the fans would like to see as the Rams quarterback.
Yeah.
Rippon was the winner by far, 57%. Banks came in second, Steve Walsh in third.
Yeah, I mean, Walsh was so far down, he almost looked like Ross Perot in the presidential polls. And Rippon was so favored, he looked like Bill Clinton.
Walsh's numbers far down today, 1 of 6. Rams keep it on the ground on second down. Greg Robinson, the former Raider.
A lot of times, Kenny, you play your best game when you play your old team. Now, we talked to Sean Gilbert yesterday, and he said, no, I'm not thinking about this being my old team. But the fact is, we've seen him do some nice things today. Getting the jump on the ball. We saw him make that tackle right there on that last play. Got through the line of scrimmage. So he has turned out to be an unbelievable pick. Again, for Charles Casserly, picking him up, making the trade with which the Rams picked up Lawrence Phillips.
Sean Gilbert has lifted the entire Redskins defensive line, not only today, but all season.
Let's go, guys.
The Washington Redskins by the score of 10-0. 2-minute warning in this first half.
Now, that's the nice thing when you're an owner. You get to go anywhere you want, and you don't even need a pass. You just go wherever you want, out on the sideline anywhere.
Did you kick her out?
No.
Greg Robinson, first down and more. Out to the 28-yard line. Darryl Morrison made the stop. So a good change of pace with Phillips on the sideline with Greg Robinson.
Yeah, this is a big play for the Rams because they're third and short. They really haven't gotten much going offensively. You see the nice blocking up front because Greg Robinson had a big hole to run through.
Hurry up offense. Walsh, and there is the first completion of the day for Isaac Bruce and the first completion of positive yardage for Walsh. Hurry up offense, 1:20 to go. Now Harold Green, the lone back. 3 receivers. Walsh to the near side. Eddie Kennison wrestled down by Darryl Green. Steve Walsh over to the sidelines as the Rams call their first timeout.
You have to remember this about a 2-minute offense. The defense is playing back. They're playing deep and they're playing safe. So you're going to get these underneath passes. But also remember this about Steve Walsh. Even though before this series he was only 1 for 6 of his passes, a lot of that wasn't his fault. Because remember the one pass where the interception was, Ken Harvey got his hand on the ball. And then another pass he tried to throw to Jermaine Ross. Jermaine Ross just didn't look for it. He was wide open. So we've seen some things happen to Steve Walsh that really weren't his fault. And now we're seeing him get into a little bit of a rhythm here in the 2-minute drill. Sometimes that's the best place for a quarterback to find his rhythm.
Coming up on the Doctors Khakis halftime report, JB and Terry will bring you scores and highlights from Week 4 of the NFL. And don't miss At Fox NFL Sunday's Choice Cuts, featuring the best plays of the NFL from last week. That's all coming up on the Doctors Khakis Halftime Report.
There's Ron Lynn, defensive coordinator for the Redskins.
He looks on as Walsh goes over the top to Isaac Bruce once again. His second reception, dragged to the turf by Tom Carter.
Ron Lynn is a guy who loves to blitz. Told us yesterday, hey, I'd love to blitz. And he's a real guy. You know he's a real guy. And a real guy who's a defensive coordinator is a guy who does like to blitz. He likes to throw bodies at guys. But he's resisting that temptation today to play back, to play it safe, and that fits in Norv Turner's game plan. You know, I know he's a real guy because he spent Friday night in a pup tent with his son with about 50 other Boy Scouts. So that tells us a lot about a guy who works hard all week with the Redskins, and then he goes home on Friday night instead of going to a movie or something like that. He's out in a pup tent in the park.
So he slept outside on Friday, and now he's coaching a football game indoors on Sunday. There's something wrong about that. Something should be reversed.
He's a real guy, you know, and a real guy will do that. You just go wherever you got to go. If your son wants to sleep out in the tent, you do that. If your team's playing in a dome, you know, with a lid on it, you do that. And even though you love to blitz, if Norv Turner says, hey, let's play things safe and keep games close, not give up the big play, you do that.
And with 51 seconds to go, Ron Lynn has to be pleased about the effort from his defense, which has shut out the Rams so far. Redskins lead it 10-0 as that pass is short, intended for Harold Green. Remember, this Rams offense has not scored now in nearly 6 quarters, shut out by the 49ers, and here today so far.
Yeah, and what Ron Lynn has is the luxury of a strong pass rush, because Sean Gilbert, 94 there, and Ken Harvey really, as a tandem, are two of the best. So what Ron Lynn has is he has the ability to put pressure on the quarterback, as they did on that last play, with only 4 guys. And a lot of teams don't have that luxury.
3rd down and 3 from the Redskins 44. The tight end Brayton in motion. Walsh short drop. Isaac Bruce down to the 25. Darryl Pounds made the tackle.
That was a nice sharp throw by Steve Walsh.
Rams do have 1 timeout remaining, and Walsh will stop the clock on the 25-yard line with 32 seconds to go. Did not want to waste that final timeout.
That's what Steve Walsh does best, is throws these inside patterns. Remember, we saw him throw the out cut to Isaac Bruce before, and he didn't get the ball there soon enough. Tom Carter broke it up. So this time what they do is they send Isaac Bruce inside. And when they send him inside, Steve Walsh does have an accurate arm. And he showed it on that play. He's accurate between the numbers. That's where he's best.
Walsh from the 25. Eddie Kennison could not hold on.
Yeah, the pass got a little too close to the numbers on that. That's really Steve Walsh's throwing zone, is the numbers. And Kennison was a little too close to the numbers, a little too far downfield, a little too close to the outside for Walsh to throw a precision pass like he did to Isaac Bruce. Because even though Kennison dropped that ball, and maybe you say, well, he should have caught it, the ball was thrown behind him.
This is 3rd down. Remember, the Rams stopped the clock on 1st down with the spike. So on 3rd and 10, here's Brayton, his first reception today, but does not get out of bounds. So the clock continues to run. And this will be 4th down.
Yeah, so now they got to go for the field goal, which is what Chip Lohmiller has got to love. Because, again, he's playing against his old team. Like Sean Gilbert's playing against his old team. Lohmiller's playing against his old team. And you always want to damage your old team when you play them to make them send the message that, you know, you really shouldn't have let me go.
And we all know what Chip Lohmiller can do on a football field, but how about on the hockey rink? When he was still a member of the Washington Redskins, he was the winner of the Washington Capitals' hardest shot competitions. Harder slap shot than all the actual Capital players.
And you see May there. He's dismayed that he got beat by a kicker in the NFL.
94.3 miles an hour.
That's unbelievable. They hope that he puts that same kind of velocity on this shot.
And a gentleman by the name of P.D. J.D. Clayton in the Washington area sent that sign you just took a look at here to St. Louis in honor of Chip Lohmiller, second all-time leading scorer in Redskin history, behind only Mark Mosley. This a 38-yard attempt with Keith Lyle, the holder. And Lohmiller, playing for the first time against the Redskins, goes wide right.
Wow. That hurts you. That hurts your whole team, and it hurts you because, again, the last thing he wanted to do was miss that baby. Because now the Redskins are over there saying, yeah, well, that's why we let him go. And that hurts you. I mean, that kills your pride as a player. It's just a horrible, horrible, sickening feeling.
Chip Lohmiller had not kicked in a game situation 3 weeks.
Yeah,
no extra points, no field goals 2 weeks ago when they were shut out and the bye week.
Yeah, he kicked that ball too low, Kenny. His foot was too low. He kicked it right underneath the tip of the ball, and that thing just got way too much air up underneath it, and no velocity. None of the velocity of the slap shot.
Perhaps he needed the hockey stick.
Yeah, he needed something.
So Frerotte down to one knee, and that will do it for the first half from St. Louis. It's the Washington Redskins 10, the St. Louis Rams nothing. JB, Terry, Howie, and Ronnie Lott upcoming following these messages. Came back on that last drive to make the numbers respectable.
Well, yeah, you have to remember that a lot of this yardage here came from that 2-minute drill when Ron Lynn and the Redskins defense was playing very soft, very preventive, just trying to keep the Rams out of the end zone, and they stopped them short, and then Chip Lohmiller had an opportunity to kind of throw it in the face of his old team, and he missed what normally in the old days would have been an easy kick for him.
Would have been what they used to call in Washington a chip shot. And Terry Allen with the 27 yards on 10 carries. Here you see through the first 3 games. Look at those numbers, Tim, in the second half.
Well, when I asked him about this yesterday, he said, hey, I said, what do you do at halftime? You come out and you have these great numbers after the half. He said, I do? He said, I don't want to know. You shouldn't have told me that. Now I got to figure out what it is that I do because I don't know what I do. But the fact is, he's always best in the second half. More importantly, he's better in the third quarter even than he is in the fourth quarter. So hopefully we'll see some of that great running from Terry Allen.
Gus Frerotte, 8 of 16 in the first half. And we talked about the loss of Michael Westbrook. The receivers today, Tim, no completions. 8 completions for Frerotte. 5 have gone to the backs and 3 to the tight ends.
Yeah, and again, Gus Ferrotte's best at these deep intermediate routes to his tight ends and his running backs. He's not a long ball guy yet. But I think if he's allowed to continue to develop and have the strong running game and win, that's the most important thing. If he's a winning quarterback, you'll see him start to do things in other areas that he's not doing now.
Second half underway from St. Louis with the Redskins leading by 10. Eddie Kennison from the 2-yard line. Up the middle, still on his feet, finally upended by William Bell. 27-yard return for Kennison.
Well, here's where the Rams ran in the first half. We talked about Lawrence Phillips getting it going with the run game. Pretty balanced attack. Left for 20 yards, 7 up the middle for 21, and then 5 to the right for 29 yards. So the Rams have established a solid, balanced run game. It's really the interception and the field position from the special teams that has hurt this team more than anything.
And they start out here in the second half on their own 29. Their best starting field position so far today. Lawrence Phillips with 42 yards in the first half, bottled up by Mark Boutte after a short game.
Boutte's a guy who came into the league as a rookie with Sean Gilbert. And now you see a little headbutt there between those guys. Those guys had an outstanding year as rookies. And then things didn't quite go right for the Rams. Things didn't quite go right for them. Now they both end up back together in Washington with the Redskins. And Boutte is really thriving off of Sean Gilbert. He's playing better with his old buddy right there next to him in the pit.
Second down and 9 after the short gain. Walsh in trouble, dumps it off to the fullback, Derek Harris. And he is taken to the turf by Dexter Nottage.
Well, that's a credit to Ron Lynn and his coaching and the style of defense that he has, because Nottage was involved in the pass rush. He's coming up on the outside as a rusher, but then when he sees that ball, he turns and goes. And you'll see all the Redskins defensive linemen do that because Ron Lynn coaches them to do that. He coaches them, when the ball goes, you go too. I don't want you to just get sacked. I want you to make tackles downfield.
3rd and 5 for Steve Walsh and the Rams. Good protection. Walsh over the middle. Isaac Bruce has the first down out to the 45-yard line.
And again, Steve Young is throwing the ball in his range. It's in the middle of the field, between the numbers, right up the center. But I want you to watch the stunt here and how well the Rams offensive line picks it up. Look at this. They pass guys off. They pick up the stunt. Nice pocket and a nice open throwing lane for Steve Walsh to throw that ball where he throws it best, right in the middle of the field.
The 11-yard pickup. So a first down for the Rams from their own 45. First possession of the second half. And this time it is picked off. Intended for Bruce, Ken Harvey. And the ball's knocked away. Still loose. And finally, it looks as if the Redskins have in fact recovered.
Now this is what the Rams said they weren't going to do. They weren't going to have Steve Walsh force the ball to Isaac Bruce. But that's exactly what Steve Walsh did on that play. He got greedy. The last play, he found Bruce, and now he's thinking Bruce is this great receiver. But look at him force this ball. He has no business throwing that ball there. Ken Harvey's on the underneath coverage, and that's just an easy interception for Ken Harvey.
Following the interception, Redskins take over on their own 27. Flags on the play as Jimmy Jones was quick into the backfield.
Really, this Rams aggressive front line defense has done more damage to the team than it's done good, because they've gotten more penalties with this nonsense.
Offside, number 98 of the defense.
Then they have big
5
plays
yards.
in the Washington Redskins backfield. Here it is again, Jimmy Jones right here on the center. Watch, I mean, I know he wants to get the jump, but that's ridiculous. You know, that now, yeah, he comes down on Frerotte, but it's not working. They've got to be more disciplined on their defensive line. Yeah, they want to hit the gap, but if they're not disciplined, they're not going to get back into this ball game.
8th Rams penalty on 1st and 5. Terry Allen out to the 38-yard line, close to the first down. Well, Tim, this week on Fox Saturday Baseball, Ken Caminiti and the San Diego Padres battle the Los Angeles Dodgers, plus other key pennant race matchups. It all begins at 12:30 Eastern, 11:30 Central, or 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. So check local listing.
You know what we did? We brought in our resident baseball expert, Fox announcer Joe Buck. He's the voice you'll be hearing in the World Series. So everybody's looking forward to hearing you in those big games, Joe.
Well, thank you, Tim. There you go again. The defensive line a little too aggressive. I'll be at that game, the Padres and the Dodgers, this weekend.
You're everywhere.
I'm everywhere. I'm a Rams season ticket holder. Been paying through the nose for these seats. I took a red eye back to get on and get into this ballpark.
Yeah, but wait a minute. I got you the tickets for this one. So.
You got me the tickets for that. You got me 2 extra tickets. You didn't even know that. But you got me 2 extra tickets. I'm glad to be here and glad to see that you, Tim, are in such good hands with Kenny.
Yeah, Kenny's taking good care of me. Joe, of course, my partner from the past couple seasons, but now you've moved on to the big national Saturday game of baseball every week. And Kenny and I, as with everybody around the country, enjoys hearing your booming voice on those games.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun. We'll get back to football now.
And here's Frerotte looking downfield, and once again he overthrows the intended receiver, Leslie Shepard.
Yeah, that's not Gus Ferrotte's ball. But, again, the penalties from the Rams defense enabled them to have a free play. Because they started out their 1st down and 5. So they said, hey, we got a free play. Let's go with the long ball and see what Gus can do. And I'll tell you, Norv Turner, I promise you, said to Gus, look, just throw this baby long. If you're not going to come up with the completion, make sure that you overthrow it.
Tim, now that you are able to see Joe and I together, you can see the differences. You can stop calling me Joe. Terry Allen Did not find a big hole that time. Jimmy Jones in on the stop along with Roman Pfeiffer.
Now this is a full pressure defense. Watch the guys coming. Watch the safety come and watch the linebackers fill up through these gaps. You see this right here? That's a linebacker in a gap. There's a linebacker in a gap. So that's the aggressive nature. And when you're not jumping off sides, that's a heck of a defense to be running because you can shut down a run game with an aggressive 8-man front, everybody in a gap defense.
3rd down and 5. Brian Mitchell in the backfield, and so are 3 Rams defensive linemen.
Yeah, well, they got Joe Patton with the noise. I mean, the crowd got him on that one.
Number 68, 5 yards.
You have to know this. Joe Patton has a tough job. He's not a natural tackle. He's a natural guard. But he not only is playing tackle today in the National Football League, he's playing against this guy, Leslie O'Neal. So with the crowd going loud, he sees that flinch from DeMarco Farr, and he's on edge because he knows he's got to block this guy here, one of the best pass rushers in the league. So he is like, I mean, he's like a hair trigger out there, and just the slightest movement on the defensive line is going to make him move.
Now 4 receivers on 3rd and 11. Frerotte, quick drop, and it's picked off by Corin Dorn. And Dorn is finally wrestled out of bounds by the quarterback, Gus Frerotte. The pass in and out of the hands of Bill Brooks. Dorn was right there.
Wow, you talk about the damage not having Michael Westbrook. Well, I don't know how well Michael Westbrook would have done, but the thing is, Bill Brooks wouldn't have been in the game if Michael Westbrook would have been here. Leslie Shepard would have been the 3rd receiver. Watch him here. The ball is delivered nicely to Bill Brooks right there. And you know what it does? It hits him in the numbers. The worst place for a receiver sometimes to get the ball is right directly in the numbers. They'd rather have that ball out where they have to pick it up with their hands. When that baby hits you in the chest, it bounces. Now watch Frerotte. You talk about a tough guy. Why do the players on this team love this guy? Look at him. He's not going to let this thing go in for a touchdown. He's going to go and make himself a tackle.
1st and goal. Lawrence Phillips inside the 2.
That's a nice run because this is crunch time. You know, now here you are. You're in the pit. You're in the red zone. And what do? You go behind your big hogs. You go behind your road grader in Dwayne White. Zach Weger in there, driving it out, and behind your tight end in Troy Drayton. They want to run this baby in now for attitude as much as anything.
2 tight ends in the game for the Rams. 2nd and goal, Bruce in motion. Phillips on the pitch back. Taken down. Marcus Patton grabbed hold of the ankles of Lawrence Phillips, and it will be 3rd and goal.
Well, one thing that you know, if you're going to try to run the ball outside against this Redskins defense, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. Because one thing Marcus Patton, Ken Harvey, and Rod Stevens has is speed. They've got speed at the linebacker position, so anytime you try to toss the ball, you're asking for trouble.
Timeout called with the Rams inside the 2-yard line. The St. Louis Rams looking to score for the first time since week 1.
You know, Rich Brooks is a tricky guy, and he's known for his trick plays, and now is when you would expect, if ever, to see something exotic from this Rams offense.
The lone back is Harold Green. 3rd and goal. Walsh dumps it to the end zone. Broken up. The hit made by Darrell Pounds on Isaac Bruce.
Wow.
And it will be 4th and
wow.
goal.
You want to talk about playing football in the NFL? This guy, Darrell Pounds, is a guy that Ron Lynn doesn't play that often because he's got to save him from himself. He's a small guy. He doesn't have a lot of size, but when he hits, he brings absolutely everything he has. Watch him here. Look at this hit. This is what makes this play, man. He almost decapitates Isaac Bruce. I mean, there are very few guys in the National Football League who have to be saved from themselves. Darrell Pounds is one of them.
Remember Lohmiller wide right earlier. This from 20 yards out. And this time it is good. Rams on the scoreboard. They trail the Redskins 10-3.
Turned into a field goal by a guy too small to play full time because he hits so hard. Look at this, like a sock full of buckshot. Daryl Pound knocks Bruce so hard that he loses that ball, and you would have to be the size of an offensive lineman to be able to absorb that impact and still hang on to the ball.
First points in over 100 minutes of game action for the Rams. Brian Mitchell from his own 2-yard line. Here's some trickery from the Redskins as they fake the handoff to Stephen Davis, and the return goes for 24.
They should have handed it off. If he handed it off, Stephen Davis would still be running.
Instead, the Redskins will start out deep in their own territory. In the NFL, has Dallas flipped? Is Green Bay the new king of the NFL? Find out next Sunday. Don't miss Fox NFL Sunday. Check local listings for the time in your area.
You know the reason why I care about what those pregame guys say about who's going to be the best? They spend more time on the phone during the week with more guys around the NFL than anybody in the world.
Have they called you yet?
No. But they get the inside scoop from everybody, and that's how they know the things that they know. You wonder how do they know that? How do they know this? How do they know that? They get the inside track because they burn up the phone lines. Those guys are constantly on the phones. One of them, I think Howie's got cauliflower finger from dialing.
No wonder my Fox phone credit card was canceled.
Howie must have got a hold of that number.
10-3 lead for Gus Frerotte and the Redskins. Second down and 3. The middle, Terry Allen. He is stopped short. Robert Jones in on the tackle. Short gain. Gus Frerotte, a guy who came very close to quarterbacking the St. Louis Rams this year. Rumors throughout the offseason about a possible deal, and the Rams and Redskins wound up making a trade, but it was Sean Gilbert for the #1 draft pick, which turned into Lawrence Phillips, and Frerotte stayed in Washington.
And it's interesting that the Rams said today they want to stop Terry Allen and make Frerotte beat them. If they're going to lose this game today, they want it to be because Frerotte did it and not Terry Allen.
Frerotte rolling right, and the pass was short. He overthrew Shepard a couple of times earlier. This time the pass was short.
And that's exactly why Willie Shaw said what he said. He said, we're going to put this guy, Toby Wright, up on the line. We'll have 8 men on the front. We'll shut down Terry Allen, and we'll make Gus Frerotte throw the ball to beat us. And if they beat us with Gus Frerotte throwing the ball, then so be it. But that's the poison that we're going to pick. Because they know they pick Terry Allen as the poison, they're going down. I mean, Terry Allen will kill you.
Although they have contained Allen, only 33 yards on 13 carries so far.
Yeah, but they contained him by using 8 men on the line and opening up the pass game, tempting Gus Frerotte to throw the ball.
Here's Eddie Tennyson, flag thrown as Tennyson was pushed deep inside the 10, and a flag was thrown on the kickoff.
That was the longest flag throw I've ever seen in my life. It went about 40 yards. And you'd almost expect that the guy who threw it was a guy like Dan Marino or John Elway.
Now, what do they say? There's a beanbag popcorn in those flags?
No, that thing had some lead in it. That was a Daryl Pounds flag that got thrown because that had some buckshot in it. That thing went too far to be filled with popcorn. Holding against the Rams. Again, now they're getting pinned down again.
Holding, number 46, during the kick. Half a distance to the goal. First down.
That's Torrin Dorn, who had the interception earlier. You know, these officials have had a lot of practice throwing those flags today, Tim. That's the 10th Rams penalty of this game. Kenny Albert, Tim Green back in St. Louis. And here we take a look, Tim, at that flag throw.
Yeah, watch this baby come in here. It's going to come in from the right side of the screen. See that right there? Look at that trajectory. I mean, that came from Mike Borgard, the side judge. He was all the way back at the goal line. The Rams may want to talk to this guy about getting him in there to throw the deep ball for him.
Well, they don't go for the deep ball on first down as Gerald Moore, the rookie third-round draft pick from Oklahoma, carries the ball for the first time in his National Football League career as we take a look at our Budweiser game summary.
Well, and as you see down here, Terry Allen has not been shut down, but he's been pretty much contained by that Rams defense. That's what they wanted to do, force Gus Frerotte into it. And then look at this here. St. Louis, 10 for 57 in the penalties, and those penalties have been instrumental in their very, very poor field position all game.
Isaac Bruce in motion on second down. The handoff goes to Greg Robinson. Not much, so it will be 3rd and long for the Rams. And as you mentioned, field position has been the story.
Yeah, and Ken Harvey might have almost got hurt on that last play there by Dwayne White. Robinson needed to follow White around on that last play. When you run a play like that, you got to follow your blocker, because you get Dwayne White moving his stuff out there, and he hit Harvey so hard that Harvey had a tough time getting up.
Harvey with the interception earlier. 3rd down and 5. Walsh back to throw. Off the fingertips. The tight end Troy Drayton with Marcus Patton draped all over him. And the Rams will be forced to punt.
Didn't matter that he didn't catch it, because that's not the pass you want to throw. Drayton is short of the first down marker, and Marcus Patton is climbing up his back. So it's not something that you want to throw. And Steve Walsh has no excuse, because he had time. His offensive line held those guys out and gave him time. He needed to be more patient and find a better pass on 3rd down to keep his offense moving.
Landetta from the end zone. Mitchell backs up to the 34. And he is wrestled down. Mike Scurlock grabbed the shoulder of Brian Mitchell. Only a 4-yard return. And guess what, Tim? More flags.
Sure, another penalty.
54-yard punt by Landetta. The officials sorting things out.
Scurlock can use his hands now. We know that. We saw him get his hands on the back of Darryl Pounds earlier and get a flag. So we know he's got strong hands. And look at those gloves, too. You got gloves like that.
Personal foul. Tackling by the face mask. Number 20.
He used his hands well.
15 yards.
They say it was
First
Keith
down.
Crawford, number 20.
Well, he didn't tackle anybody. Scurlock's the guy who tackles him. He's got those gloves on his hands.
There's 20 out of the picture.
Yeah,
that was 22.
No, it was 22 Scurlock. But it didn't look like he got his face mask, did it? It looked like he got him around the collar. But Mitchell's head went down, so I think the official thought he had the face mask. I don't know if we're going to get if we have another angle of it, but it didn't look like Scurlock got his face mask.
In any event, Redskins, once again, excellent field position. Now the Rams, 46. Leading 10-3. Terry Allen to the right side. Has some running room. Squirts his way down to the 40.
We're going to try to take a look at Mike Scurlock and that face mask penalty, because I don't think he had the mask on this. Now watch where his hand goes. His hand, it's his left hand. See, you see where that hand is? Well, no, it was his right hand. I was looking at his left hand. He hooked that right hand around when he spun around with it.
You were looking at those big gloves.
I was looking at those fancy gloves, and I was looking at the left hand, which was around the collar, but his right hand did get the mask.
Here's Allen on second down, diving across the 35 for the first down. Right now for a McDonald's game break. Let's go to James Brown at our Fox Television Center.
Kenny, even a hobbling Steve Young groin pull here. The pocket breaks down. Blown coverage in the secondary. Young takes advantage of it. 44 yards for Derek Lavelle. First TD pass of the season for Young. It's now 20-7 Panthers. Back to Kenny Albert and Tim Green.
Impressive start for the Panthers, 2-0, and they lead the 49ers. Here's Terry Allen to the outside, chased down by Roman Pfeiffer, and a flag thrown once again. Well, Tim, they said he was too small and too slow to play college football, but he never stopped believing in himself. Don't miss this inspiring true story about a young man who beat the odds and lived his dream of playing for Notre Dame. Rudy, tonight at 8, 7 Central on Fox.
It really is an inspiring story, and it reminds me of Terry Allen, another guy who you'd think had these incredible setbacks, 2 major knee surgeries on each knee, but he's still running, or not only running around the NFL, but leading the National Football League in rushing right now. So you've got to love those inspirational stories, and guess what? They're everywhere around the game of football. They're with the guy Rudy, they're with Terry Allen. And that's what this game brings about. It's an incredibly intense experience. There's a lot of emotional anxiety and pain, and there's a lot of great courage.
Now on 1st and 20, following the penalty, Frerotte finds a receiver down inside the 25. Finally, Frerotte able to connect with Leslie Shepard.
It's amazing how predictable Ferrotte's good passes are. And when I say predictable, Norv Turner told us yesterday his best route is about 18 to 25 yards deep, a precision pass. And here it is. It's a deep in route by Leslie Shepard. Shepard does a nice job of separating himself from Anthony Parker, and that's where Frerotte can really deliver that ball better than anywhere else. Not great on the short ball, not great on the long arcing bomb, but the deep precision pass, Gus Frerotte can do it as well as anybody in the league.
20 yards from Frerotte to Shepard. Fakes the handoff to Allen. Instead, Mark Logan down inside the 10.
Well, Mark Logan really has played a game today. We've seen him do just about everything. We saw him blocking and laying great blocks for Terry Allen. And then we saw him running the ball and picking up a first down with some just hard-nosed running on a quick inside slant play. And now we see him catching the ball. He's an all-around guy. He's the kind of guy that you call a toolbox. He's a utility guy.
First and goal from the 9. Terry Allen escapes Robert Jones and is in for the touchdown.
This run is Terry Allen at his best. He runs his best runs in the National Football League when he disregards the play, disregards the hole, and makes something happen on his own. Because when you see this play, watch, Terry Allen is supposed to take this and cut it up inside. But watch what he does. It looks like he's going to hammer it. Look, there's where everybody expects him to run it, right up in there. But he draws the linebackers to the inside because they think he's going to run in the hole, and then he just takes it and breaks it to the outside. Terry Allen is like a poker player. He bluffs, and then he's got the real hand after a while. So you never know, is he going to go with what you expect him to do, or is he going to bluff? I got a book on him, Kenny. You know, I like to go to the library, read books, write books. The book on this guy is that he hates the gauntlet, and that's why he runs so hard. His favorite play is anytime Trey Johnson pulls, and then he fishes for largemouth bass. That's what he loves to do, and that tells you about his patience, because he's a patient guy who will run through the line of scrimmage hard. He'll run, and then all of a sudden he'll set up the defense and then break it back to the outside. Now the gauntlet is that chute that they have in the NFL where it's got all these like hard rubber fingers that they make the running backs run through. And Terry Allen says, my coaches say if I run through arm tackles and run through the line of scrimmage and don't get tackled, then I don't have to run through the gauntlet during the week of practice.
He ran right through Robert Jones' fingers.
Yeah, he did. So he'd rather run through the human gauntlet on a Sunday than the hard rubber gauntlet on a Wednesday and a Thursday during the week of practice.
Terry Allen's 5th touchdown this season in just 4 games, and he has reached the end zone now in 9 consecutive games dating back to last season. 17-3 lead for the Redskins. Scott Blanton. Eddie Tennyson from the 9-yard line. Out across the 25, out to the 26. No flags this time. What a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, we're starting to be surprised when we don't see those flags.
So the Redskins with the 17-3 lead as Steve Walsh looks to get things going for the Rams.
Well, this is the worst situation you could ask for if you're the Rams, because now they're in a position where they need to rely more heavily on Steve Walsh's arm than they want to. Now, you have to remember, Walsh had that injured elbow before, and he said it was feeling better this week. The thing is, I don't know if it was really tested because he threw less in practice over the past 2 weeks than he would normally throw.
Lawrence Phillips on first down, and every pass was charted by the coaches over the drills the last 2 weeks. They had the same number of reps, both Walsh and Tony Banks, and the decision was not really made, at least not made public until late in the week, Thursday, as to who the starter would be, Walsh or this man, Tony Banks, the rookie out of Michigan State.
Well, I think that they went with Walsh because he has had more experience, and Tony Banks really struggled, most especially with turning the ball over last week or 2 weeks ago against the 49ers. And turnovers, as we've seen with Steve Walsh's interceptions, are death to an offense.
Yes, Banks fumbled 3 times in the 49er game. Here's Walsh on second down. Out across the 37, Isaac Bruce, and a Rams first down. Well, next week it's a Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader as the Carolina Panthers, who could make it 3-0 if they hold on today against the 49ers. They battle Jacksonville, and Atlanta takes on San Francisco, plus other exciting regional action. It all begins at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific.
Carolina gives Rams, or should give the Rams, hope, because Carolina is built on defense, and no matter how much the offense struggles for St. Louis, they've got a strong, aggressive defense, and they're going to win a lot of games this season just with their defense alone.
Harold Green on first down squirms his way down to the 42-yard line. Under 2 minutes to go, third quarter, as the Rams, who beat Cincinnati opening day and lost to the 49ers, in danger of dropping to 1-2.
Well, look at the Rams offense and where they were and where they are now. They have so many new faces, and the only consistent guy they've got here is Isaac Cruz. And then you look at these little red marks. Those guys are all rookies. So 3 out of their 5 skill positions on the Rams are rookies, which is a danger in and of itself.
Now there's Harold Green on the reception. We talked about Banks, who played quarterback in the 49ers game. He's also a rookie.
Yeah, and the other thing about it is there's a saying among coaches in the National Football League and in college: for every rookie on your starting lineup, you just guaranteed yourself a loss. So the Rams starting out, if you believe in that adage, Rich Brooks has guaranteed himself at least 3 losses this season, just based on the fact that he's starting 3 rookies in his starting lineup on offense, because rookies will always make mistakes. They'll fumble, they'll miss assignments, they'll hurt you in ways that you don't even know.
There's Walsh rolling right under pressure, screen pass. Troy Drayton on the reception, has the first down. Flag on the play as Sean Gilbert races downfield to impede the progress of Troy Drayton. 18-yard gain, but flags were thrown.
That's too bad for the Rams.
That's penalty number 12.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you have young guys and you have rookies and you try to run a trick play.
Downfield, number 61, 5 yards.
That's not a rookie, Vern Brosco.
No. That's an older guy who's got to know that you have to move laterally on the screenplay. And what will happen on a screenplay is the running back oftentimes, or the tight end in this case, will yell. He'll say, go. Now, here's Brostek right here. No, here's Brostek, 61. Now, you see this? Look at it. He's moving too far. He's drifting north instead of west. And what you have to do is you have to sit behind the line of scrimmage and listen. You got to listen for your tight end or the receiver, because when he catches that ball, he knows that you can't see him. So he'll say, go, as soon as he catches the ball. Vern Brostek wasn't listening. He didn't wait for the go.
Now the Rams call timeout. Rams with more penalties today, 12, than completed passes, 10.
Wow.
That is not a good sign.
No, it's ugliness. It's foul. And the penalties have been costly ones, too. It's not just as if they've had some penalties that have, set them back a little bit. The penalties have pinned them down in field position, and then they go and get a nice first down on a nice play that works, and then that comes back.
Well, Tim, coming up next on our Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader, Deion Sanders and the Dallas Cowboys, one game behind the Washington Redskins, coming in the standings. They take on the Buffalo Bills. Also Chicago and Detroit. So don't miss these crucial NFL matchups coming up next, right here on Fox. And aside from the 12 penalties, Rams in the air today, only 76 passing yards.
Yeah, part of the reason why Byrne may have committed the penalty, his mind now is back on playing center. They moved him from center to guard. Gudadarian is out with a sprained foot, so now Byrne has to change his whole way of thinking.
Bruce off his fingertip.
Yeah, the crowd is going nuts. because Isaac Bruce is getting himself open, and Steve Walsh isn't delivering the ball to him. And that makes everybody... Look, I'm sure Steve Walsh is just as upset as anyone.
It was wide open.
Yeah, now here's a pass that's in his zone. Watch Bruce. He comes across the middle. That's Walsh's zone. That's where he throws the ball best. But he throws that so far behind Isaac Bruce that he would have had to been a magician to catch it. And even then, he would have had to catch it in his tape.
Another flag. 12 Rams penalties, 5 mistakes by the Redskins. Referee Jerry Austin should earn overtime today.
Before the snap, ball start, number 32, 5 yards. It's still 4th down.
Toby Wright.
Well, the thing that's disconcerting about this whole thing, if you're a Rams fan, is the fact that these guys had 2 weeks off. They had the bye week, so they had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. And when you have 2 weeks to prepare, you expect the team to be sharp and in sync and not killing themselves with penalties.
Mandetta now from his own 25. Good kick. Backs Mitchell all the way to the goal line, and the ball actually too good of a kick. 63 yards, no return, but the Redskins will start from their own 20. And that is the end of the third quarter, with the Redskins leading the Rams 17-3. Fox NFL Sunday will continue after these messages. World Dome in St. Louis, Missouri, where the Washington Redskins lead the Rams by the score of 17-3. Kenny Albert along with Tim Green. And Tim, you cannot win, I don't care if it's the National Football League, high school, college football, by committing 13 penalties in 3 quarters.
Yeah, I mean, the Redskins are more focused in this game than the Rams are. And you can tell focus by 2 things. One is penalties committed, and the other one is special teams. And the Redskins have dominated in both areas. Much fewer penalties and much better special teams.
And how about Terry Allen? 27 yards in the first half, now up to 63.
Well, we told him he's going to have to figure out what it is that he does at halftime. Because we told him that he's much, much better after the halftime break. And he doesn't need a hot dog or anything. But there's got to be something that he does.
Allen across the 30 right now for a McDonald's game break. James Brown at our Fox Television Center.
Hey, Kenny tells Tim Don Beebe's better after halftime as well. Take a look at this. Brett Favre underneath the Beebe. Beebe, spin move, heading 80 yards to pay dirt. Trust me, he gets there. 17-14, Vikings over the Packers. Later on Fox, Troy Aikman will guide the Cowboys against the Bills in Buffalo. Back to St. Louis, Kenny Albert and Tim Green.
Thanks, JB. Always bringing us up to date at the most timely moments. How about those Vikings?
Vikings and the Packers. Here's Mark Logan. Another first down, and Logan continues to do his job today, which is pick up yardage and give the Redskins a little bit of a change of pace with Allen and Logan in the backfield. Allen, the former 49er, or Logan, the former San Francisco 49er.
Now the Redskins seem to have crippled the Rams. Because, remember, the best part about this Rams team is its defense. And if you take a look at the defense, you see a little bit less fire in these guys, a little bit less of a spring in their step. They're kind of walking around, hands on hips, and they seem to have been taken out of this game a little bit by the lack of success from the rest of the Rams team.
Terry Allen up to the 48 as the offensive line of the Redskins continues to do their job. They're the heaviest offensive line, if you take the weights of the 5 linemen, heaviest line in the NFL.
Yeah, you know, a lot of these guys, too, you love big, heavy guys when you play football. And a lot of times when you have these guys, they have to lose weight and make weight limits in the National Football League. But North Turner uses an honor system. He tells his guys, hey, if you're overweight, he tells them, he doesn't fine them, he just says, hey, let's be men about this and lose the weight that we need to lose.
North Turner said it was really counterproductive in Dallas. You know, they'd have a weigh-in on Wednesday morning. Guys would sit in the sauna for 2.5 hours, then go eat a couple of steaks that night.
Well, that's what happens. The fat guys would binge eat all week. You know, they'd start after the game, they'd go out and eat a few racks of ribs and a bunch of side orders of beans, a couple 6-packs of beer. And then they'd live high on the hog all week long and eat and eat and eat. And then about Thursday, Jim Hannafin would see his guys wearing the rubber tops, and they'd start sweating. And then Friday, they'd be in the sauna to make the weight limit. And then they'd go right back out and do it again Saturday afternoon. So it was counterproductive, and Norv Turner's honor system is a much better way to do it.
Frerotte pump fakes, keeps it himself, short of the first down. Could not find any open receivers downfield. So it will be third down for the Redskins.
I don't know if Norv Turner is happy with Ferrotte's toughness on that. His toughness in just kind of breaking out and trying to run that ball on third down. See, he's saying, hey, I don't want you to try to run around out there. I want you. I want to bring you along and develop you. Gus Frerotte, though, you got to understand, when he was a freshman in high school, he crushed his vertebrae making a tackle in football. And then he was out again the next year playing anyway.
I would say that's tough.
Yeah, a lot of times you get an injury like that, you never walk on the field again. It's too scary.
Tennyson calls for the fair catch. And once again, the Rams will start out inside their own 20-yard line. 32-yard punt by Turk. 17-3 lead for the Redskins. Tim, we've talked about penalties and bad field position. This is the Rams' 11th possession. They've been across midfield only once. And that was following the interception. Here's Isaac Bruce. Nice catch on first down out across the 30-yard line.
And that's what people like. They like him going back to Bruce, and they hate to see him cringing with any kind of pain at all.
17-yard reception.
The worst way to make a living in the National Football League sometimes can appear to be the best. Here's that inside slant play. And again, that's what Steve Walsh throws the best, those inside plays.
Jermaine Ross makes the catch. No, they say no. He could not hold on. So it is ruled an incompletion. Now, the fans here at the Trans World Dome not very happy about that.
Yeah, that kind of stuff can get you cut because you're trying to get something going. And we saw Jermaine Ross before he ran the seam route, and Steve Walsh threw the ball to him, and he didn't even look for it. And now he gets a chance to pull in the ball, and he doesn't. And that's the kind of stuff that can be dangerous. That's the kind of stuff that can really erode your career almost as quickly as an injury.
Ross remains in as one of 3 Rams wide receivers. On 2nd and 10, Walsh to Bruce. He's out across midfield, 17 yards. Marcus Patton finally made the stop.
But Ron Lynn, the coordinator for the Redskins, is going to start to take this away because this is the only thing that's working. Here's Bruce here. Watch it. The up and the inside move. That's an angle pattern right there. And that's the only thing that's working for the Rams. That's the only ball Steve Walsh seems to be able to deliver effectively.
Harold Green still on his feet. Fights off 3 Redskin tacklers down near the 40.
Yeah, and you talked about field position. This is the first time that the Rams have been in Redskins territory on their own merit. I mean, they got there before on Dorn's interception. This is the first time the offense for the Rams has moved the ball across that midpoint of the field. That's Sterling Palmer, the guy down there holding his knee.
So the Redskins training staff out to check out Sterling Palmer. Will return to St. Louis in a moment.
Is on by his helmet, the battle scars. Look at the scars on that side of Palmer's helmet, much more than this side. So we know by looking at it, or an anthropologist looking back, finding this helmet 1,000 years from now is going to look back and say, here's a guy who played on the left side of the defense.
Where do you think anthropologists might find a football helmet?
It's buried somewhere in a closet.
Isaac Bruce, another first down for St. Louis.
Yeah.
8 of 12.
Now all the Redskin defenders have to do is take away the inside, because that's the only thing that's working with Steve Walsh and Isaac Bruce is that inside pass.
How about that? Isaac Bruce, 102 yards. The rest of the team only 30, and the Rams in the hurry-up offense. No huddle. 3 wide receivers. Steve Walsh calling the play at the line of scrimmage. Green down to the 15.
That's a nice play selection because you want to run that ball to the side where Isaac Bruce is aligned. Now you've got everybody thinking Isaac Bruce, and we've got to take away his inside. So all the safeties in the background are thinking Isaac Bruce, and then you run Harold Green right at them, right where everybody's thinking about Bruce.
Again, 3 wide receivers. Harold Green alone in the backfield. Walsh rolling left on first down. And Walsh not very happy with himself.
Yeah, well, he's not happy with that throw there and the first part of this game, but he should be happy with the way he's orchestrating this 2-minute drill. The thing that Steve Walsh is not great at is rolling out and throwing on the run. Some quarterbacks can do that. Gus Ferrotte's not a roll and throw guy either. Walsh and Frerotte are more pocket guys. You see it there? Actually, somebody gets their hand on it. Sean Gilbert, he's the one who nicks it, but still, that's the quarterback's responsibility. When you see a load like that, you don't want to try to throw through that. You got to move your position to throw around that. It's like flying a kite around a high tension wire. You just don't do it.
Harold Green makes the catch. Works his way inside the 5, down to the 3. That was nearly picked off by Brian Walker, but Green did a good job of hanging on to the football.
Yeah, Brian Walker didn't respect Harold Green's receiving abilities. Because a lot of times when you get in there, and he knew he could get in there and affect the pass at the very end of the route. So he makes the break, and he figures even if he doesn't get it, Harold Green's not going to be able to hang on to it because his hands are in there. He gets his hands in there, and he figures no guy's going to be able to hold on to that. Either I get it or nobody gets it. But he doesn't know that Harold Green has the body of a running back with the hands of a receiver.
First and goal from the 3. Play fake, Walsh to the end zone. It's broken up. Looking for Jermaine Ross.
You know, that's not the guy you want to go to. That doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense. You have to think down here, and you have to say, you know what? We're first down and 3, and we can get back into the ball game. But Jermaine Ross, nothing against him, but he's had problems all game in running routes and in hanging on to the ball. So when you have to throw the ball, I mean, it hits him right in the hands. But that's not Jermaine Ross's fault as much as it is Steve Walsh and Rich Brooks for calling that play and saying, let's throw the ball to Jermaine Ross when we need the points.
10th play of the drive for the Rams. Here's some trickery. The handoff goes to Ross, and he dives in for the touchdown.
Man. Talk about redemption. Woo! Hey, forget putting it up into the air to this guy, but I handed to him on a reverse. You know what? Rich Brooks knew something about Jermaine Ross. He knew that this guy must be a fiery competitor who was sick at the drops that he had earlier, and he says, let's give this guy a chance. Watch Ross coming in on this reverse, and watch the sellout. Watch him just putting his body on the line. Look at that. Right up in the air. That's like a track meet, like the Fosbury flop. And when you Fosbury flop in the National Football League, sometimes you lose your ribs. But Jermaine Ross, everybody knew was going to lose his ribs, even if he had to make up for those drop passes.
For Jermaine Ross, his second career touchdown. Both have come against the Washington Redskins. To the end zone. So with 7:09 remaining, the crowd on its feet as the Rams have pulled within a touchdown. The first rushing touchdown allowed by the Redskins all season. Mr. Green will be tracking this year's hot rookies.
Yeah, when Jimmy Johnson told everybody he was going to run the ball in Miami, everybody said he's crazy. Now he's got Abdul-Jabbar doing the work.
Terry Allen doing the work for the Washington Redskins as Allen gains 3 on first down.
Yeah, that's what you do. When you need your offense to put a drive together, you go to your guy. You dance with the girl that brung you, and Terry Allen has brung the Redskins to a 2-1 record so far this year, and he's been instrumental in getting them the lead they have now. So now you want to put the ball in his hands. And now he's setting up his defense because that time he ran the ball in the hole. So the next time he may run it outside the hole.
The fake to Allen. Frerotte pressured by Kevin Carter. He threw it away.
Smart play by Gus Frerotte. That's exactly what Norv Turner wanted him to do on that play. Sure, he would have loved it if it turned out to be a positive yardage play, but instead of panicking, taking a sack, throwing an interception, Gus Frerotte, again, showing his development as a quarterback, keeps his cool. Kevin Carter comes free. Now, the thing you have to remember, when you block a screen pass in the National Football League, you've got to jam the defensive lineman. You can't just away it and let him come free on your quarterback. It doesn't allow the screen time enough to develop. This guy, Kevin Carter's too big and too quick. How about the noise?
Frerotte in trouble again. Again forced to throw it away. DeMarco Farr.
You know, there is no tonic for a defense in the game of football like an offense that drives down and gets a score late in the game. Farr's been using this quickness all game long, and again, you know what happens here? He beats him with quickness. He gets off the ball, and the quickness comes from that crowd noise. We talked about it earlier, and on that play there, third down critical play, it was really a factor.
The Redskins seem to have things in cruise control, and they led 17-3, but all of a sudden, their lead is only a touchdown, and Matt Kirk will punt it away to Eddie Kennison. Good hang time. Fair catch called for at the 32. 45-yard punt by Turk.
I think Norv Turner's going to look back on that last series with the Redskins and say, you know what, I should have gone with Terry Allen. Because he started the first play with Allen for 3 yards, and he should have kept going with him. He shouldn't have tried to go to Gus Frerotte with the passing game, even if it was a screen. And I think that's what he's going to say to himself when he watches this game. So whether they win or lose, he's going to look back and say, you know what, I should have danced with the girl that brung me.
And as you just saw, over the last 2 years under Norv Turner, the Redskins have led in the fourth quarter 11 times and went on to lose those 11 games. So right here, they lead by a touchdown with 6:17 remaining as the Rams continue to go with Harold Green in the backfield in lieu of the rookie Lawrence Phillips. And Green takes the handoff from Walsh, and he's bottled up after a short game.
Whenever you have a defensive hold, a defensive stand by one team, what it does is it challenges these guys, Sean Gilbert and company. It challenges them and says, hey, can you do the same thing for your offense? Can you have a big stand in the end of the game? So it's a big test for this defense right here.
Walsh over the top. Drayton took a hit from Marcus Patton. Hey, look at Marcus Patton, and if you wonder where he gets his toughness from, his mother, Barbara, was a linebacker for a team called the Los Angeles Dandelions in the National Women's Football League.
I mean, that's tough. If you look at, look at those arms. He looks like he walked out of a museum. He looks like he was some kind of a marble sculpture or something.
I mean, can you imagine having your mother as a linebacker?
My mom wouldn't be happy if I referred to her as a linebacker. But I guess if you're as big and tough as Marcus Patton, you can think of your mom however you want.
Here's Isaac Bruce across the 40. So Isaac Bruce, who did not catch a pass until the latter portion of the second quarter, now with 9 receptions.
He didn't get deep enough on that ball there. He put him into a fourth down situation.
Fourth and short.
Isaac Bruce needed to find the markers and get to that depth before he turned on that pass.
The Rams will go for it on 4th and 1. Walsh to the air. This time Bruce has the yardage.
Yep. That's what dance with a girl that brung. That's what that means. Dance with the girl that brung. And you showed the numbers before about how Isaac Bruce has just come on and it's got over 100 yards of receiving. He's the guy that's moving him down. Ross is the guy that put him in the end zone, but Bruce is the guy moving this offense down.
Bruce's 10th reception and his 10th career 100-yard ball game. First down in Redskins territory. 4.5 remaining. Harold Green to the outside. Got away from the first tackle attempt by Brian Walker, so more good yardage, 6 yards. Picked up by Harold Green. Coming up next, our Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader will continue with Deion Sanders and the Dallas Cowboys against the Buffalo Bills. And the Chicago Bears take on the Detroit Lions. So stay tuned right here on Fox, Game 2 of our NFL doubleheader.
Well, Brian Walker has to rethink his assessment of Harold Green, because we've seen Green beat him on the pass and now on the run.
Green pass. The intended receiver was Gerald Moore. And again, it was Brian Walker on the coverage.
Yeah, the crowd wants a penalty, but once the ball goes past the receiver or touches his hands, that's when the defender can tackle him.
That's confusing 5 defensive backs. Walker, the nickel back.
Yeah, here it is right here. And you see, now once the ball goes beyond the receiver, Brian Walker can tackle him.
3rd down and 4. Walsh over the middle, gets to Isaac Bruce. His 11th reception and a Rams first down.
You know, these guys almost should take a timeout and figure out what's going on, because they've got to stop Bruce on the inside. We started talking about this back in the beginning of this quarter, about how Isaac Bruce is not going to be, they're not going to go to the outside. So Ron Lynn needs to shake up his guys in the secondary and say, guys, you know, sometimes you're in a game and you lose sight of the big picture. The big picture is Isaac Bruce is coming to the inside of the defense and catching the ball. They need to take it away.
Rams keep it on the ground on first down with Harold Green.
That's an honesty play, because every once in a while you'll mix a pass or you'll mix a run in just to keep those safeties honest and not allow them to just look to the inside to pick off Isaac Bruce. See, because if you have a run game going, it forces the safeties to check the run before they can look to Isaac Bruce coming on the inside pattern. So that's a smart changeup by Rich Brooks.
2nd down and 9. Here's Walsh off balance, picked off by Tom Carter. Walsh off balance as he threw the ball, and he slams his helmet down in frustration.
Well, that's what Ron Lynn did it. He wanted to get Walsh on the run. We saw Walsh on the run before, not throwing well. He gets on the run this time, and he makes a very bad decision in throwing this football. Watch it here. The Redskins get the pressure. There's some pressure up front from Gilbert Brown, from Sean Gilbert. He pushes him out. Palmer gets in his face, and then Walsh makes the bad decision. So Sean Gilbert's the guy who forces him out of the pocket, forces him on the run, and then Walsh makes a bad mental decision, and you can see the pain in him. And there's Ron Lynn. He said, hey, I won. Yeah, Isaac Bruce may have worked down the field, but I win now in the red zone. And that's what his defense has done this year. From a yardage standpoint, they've only been ranked 22nd. But from a scoring standpoint, his defense is ranked 3rd.
Keep in mind, the Rams have only 1 timeout remaining, and they use it right here. So with 2:30 on the clock.
Yeah, so they got this timeout, and then they have the 2-minute warning. So now for Steve Walsh, the important thing for him is to keep his head and settle down. And it's a hard thing, because he's had a hard day. He's had a tough day throwing the ball, not able to get it to the outside, and then he starts to come back, and then he gets back to his old problem of earlier in the game of throwing interceptions, and throws a critical one here, but he's going to get another chance. So he's got to keep his head.
3 interceptions today. So on the season, Walsh, no touchdowns, 5 picks. Came in as the lowest rated quarterback in the NFC. But today, in the second half at least, he's put up some okay numbers with Isaac Bruce as his primary target.
I don't think he's done much for his quarterback rating, because all those interceptions, no touchdown passes.
So the Rams with no timeouts. 2nd down and 9 for the Redskins. Barry Allen. And the Redskins will let the clock run down now to the 2-minute warning.
And now you see the real test of that 8-man front, because, of course, Willie Shaw is putting all 8 up front against these Hogs. You know, normally you think the Hogs, hey, we could drive it out and get a first down. But if the defense is willing to commit a safety into the run game, it's very hard, even for a bunch of Hogs. Because even if they move all the bodies available, there's still going to be an extra body with that extra safety.
2-minute warning from St. Louis.
He's a man of mystery.
Seems everything about you smoking mirror.
Back in St. Louis, 2 minutes to go. 3rd down and 6 for the Redskins. Rams with no timeouts. Brian Mitchell to the outside. Flag on the play. Has the first down. But the flag was thrown. It's been a penalty-free 4th quarter, believe it or not. Rams with 13 penalties in the first 3 quarters. Redskins 5. And this is our first flag of the 4th quarter.
And if this flag's against the Rams, then the Hogs and Brian Mitchell just sealed this game up.
Number 75.
Oh, there it is.
Penalty is declined. First down.
That's DeMarco Farr.
Yeah, trying to make that quick play. Now, we saw him hurt the Redskins a couple times, but I think he's hurt the Rams more with his penalties today. This one really doesn't matter because, as I said, the Hogs sealed this game. They put it out of reach. Now, Steve Walsh won't get another chance because the Rams are out of timeouts, and all Gus Frerotte has to do is kneel on the ball.
Yes, this should just about do it.
Yeah.
Rams using 2 of their timeouts earlier, and then the 3rd. Terrific job, as always, by our producer, Bill Brown, director, Peter Bleckner, as we take a look now, Tim, at the key play.
Yeah, the key play is Tom Carter with his big interception. He had a couple big interceptions last week against the Giants. Now watch Steve Walsh. He's forced out of the pocket by the inside of the Redskins defense, and then he forces this ball. It's a terrible throw. I'm sure Steve Walsh would even agree, and it's just a nice play on the ball by Tom Carter because, you know, the receiver had no chance of catching that ball, and Tom Carter really had almost no business catching that ball. Great body control by him.
The Rams were driving. Under 4 minutes to go. They had the ball on the Redskins 23. A touchdown and point after would have tied the game, but instead we approach the 1-minute mark as the Redskins look to win 3 consecutive games for the first time since the Joe Gibbs era in 1992.
Well, a lot of people thought that the Redskins were going to be a playoff team this year, and they've got a schedule such that they need to win in the first part of their season because they've got the toughest part of their schedule is the second part. So Norv knew that early on was when they were going to have to win. You have to feel good for Tom Carter there. After that, not only the interception there, you see Ron Lynn going over to congratulate him.
Yes, the Redskins with Dallas twice in the last 4 weeks, but next week, the New York Jets.
And what can happen is you play the Jets and then New England and then the Giants going into those games 3-1, and you start to believe in yourself. And you start to believe in your quarterback, and you start to believe in your head coach, and your head coach starts to believe in you, and then the offensive line, they know they got Terry Allen. So all of a sudden, everybody loves each other on the Redskins, and everybody loves Gus Frerotte, and then the fans love him, and then they love the line. So then it becomes this big love fest, and sometimes a love fest can just take you right into the playoffs. And you not only start to win the games that you should win, you start to win some of the ones that you shouldn't win. Did you ever know that a love fest could get you to the playoffs in the NFL?
A love fest equals playoffs. Redskins 3-1, Rams 1-2. Up next for St. Louis, the Arizona Cardinals. We'll be back in just a moment.